The congressional hearings on the January 6th attack on the Capitol have dominated news out of Capitol Hill these days. But who will be held accountable for what happened that day? Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley is here to talk about that and other issues on Capitol Hill. Senator Merkley, welcome to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you so much, Ken. It's wonderful to be with you.
What's been your biggest takeaway so far from the January 6th hearings?
Well, it has really filled out what happened that day. Of course, I saw it from the perspective of being on the Senate floor and seeing staff rush in and sweep away the vice president, and everyone's looking around in mystery, having no idea that a few feet outside our doors, people were calling to hang Vice President Pence and ready to just attack every police officer in sight. So it was an incredible day, something I never expected to see in America, and these hearings have really filled out the details about what motivated this crowd, what did they think that they were doing, who was behind it, and I'm looking forward to this last scheduled hearing this coming Thursday to fill in that 180 minutes when President Trump went silent.
Do you think President Trump will ultimately face any charges related to January 6th?
You know, that's an issue for the Department of Justice. I must say throughout his life he's done many shady things and he's never been held accountable. And I feel those words above the Supreme Court, equal justice under law, are so important. So I hope if the Justice Department feels that he broke the law, that they will pursue accountability.
Do you think what's coming out of the hearings will impact the midterm elections at all?
Well, I don't know. I would like to think that Americans have tuned in enough to say we get that what happened was an extraordinary attack on our republic. Because the foundation of a republic are elections where they are fairly counted, ballots are fairly cast, they're fairly counted, and then the peaceful transfer of power. Our founders were so worried about presidents who would try to undo a peaceful transfer of power, and now we have that experience.
Faith in the integrity of our elections has been shaken somewhat. What do you think about the debate over whether elections are fair and accurate, and is there any role for Congress in that debate?
Well, there's a big role, and there are three massive problems. One is gerrymandering that undoes equal representation in the House of Representatives. A second is dark money that's been released by Citizens United, where companies and corporations put in billions of dollars into campaigns and nobody knows where it's coming from or what their goals are. And then you simply have the need to defend the ballot box for every American so every American can cast a ballot. And we have a lot of state laws going into effect that are trying to block targeted groups of Americans from voting. So this is why I was the lead sponsor of Senate Bill number 1, the For the People Act, to take on these three issues. I had 50 votes and a vice president, but I didn't have 50 votes to get to the final debate that's needed, and that's why we have to reform the filibuster in the U.S. Senate.
Congress passed its first piece of gun legislation in a decade. Does it go far enough?
Well, it doesn't go far enough for me, but it's a big deal. For 30 years, the National Rifle Association has blocked any type of progress, and this legislation, it closes the boyfriend loophole, so that's good. You can't buy, if you have committed acts of domestic violence and you're a boyfriend, you can't proceed to buy a gun. It invests a lot in school mental health facilities and community mental health facilities. It takes an extra intensive review for those under 21 buying rifles. People are surprised to find out that in America, if you're under 21, you cannot buy a handgun, but you can buy a submachine gun. And there's been many crimes committed by those under 21 using assault rifles, and I hope intensifying that scrutiny may save a few lives.
Do you think there should be an assault weapons ban?
Yes, I do. And in addition, I think there should be a ban on large magazines. And we in Oregon are going to have a chance, hopefully, to vote on that this November. We'll find out this coming week whether or not it qualifies for the ballot. But these magazines of 30 or 50 or 100 rounds, those are designed for killing large numbers of people. They're not designed for any legitimate purpose in our country, and we need to put an end to them.
How closely have you been following the progress of Initiative Petition 17, the gun legislation that's proposed here in Oregon?
Yeah, so this is what we hope will be on the ballot in November, and I'm very supportive of it, and so I have my fingers crossed it qualifies, that it got enough signatures.
The latest inflation report shows inflation running at more than 9% now. So what can Congress do to help people who are struggling at this point?
Congress could do so much. First, we can have the big oil windfall profits tax. because people think, well, isn't this just because of the war in Ukraine? No, there's a collaboration among the oil companies. They have tripled the percent of on refining oil, so a big piece of what you're paying at the pump is gouging. They made record $205 billion last year, net profit. I mean, just completely obscene at the expense of Americans. And we can take on the price gouging in the big grocery industry, and particularly in pharmaceuticals, because we pay the highest prices in the world on drugs, even though we are the country that invests the money, our taxpayer money, in the research. We should get the best prices, not the worst.
President Biden has pretty low approval ratings right now, mostly on the economy and gas prices. Should Democrats consider another nominee next time around?
Well, that's 2024. I'm completely focused on 2022. And what we really have to do is give President Biden the tools to act effectively over this next 2 years. That includes reforming the Senate filibuster.
When the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, there was talk of congressional legislation to guarantee abortion rights. Is that going to happen?
Well, it's not going to happen under our current rules of the Senate. It takes 60 votes. We don't have 60 votes. But it should happen. We need to defend the rights of women across America to the full range of reproductive health care. And what the Supreme Court has done is tried to assert itself as a super legislature. They have abandoned defense of the Constitution and decided to enact a conservative kind of cultural agenda instead of doing their job, which is called the balls and strikes on the Constitution.
You've been very vocal about the need to address climate change. How does that affect us here in Oregon, and what are your proposals to deal with it?
The impacts are just massive. I mean, the forest fires alone, I'll never forget the Labor Day fires of 2020. I drove 600 miles up and down the state, never got out of the smoke, saw 6 towns just burned to the ground and incinerated, thousands of people at the fairgrounds who had lost their homes. But it's all the time. We have the red zone with the pine trees dying. We have offshore and more acidic ocean affecting our fishing, our crabs and our shrimp and so forth offshore. We have the snowpack declining. It is every aspect of Oregon is being impacted. And I am advocating that we have to electrify everything with renewable energy and move incredibly fast and boldly to do so. Unfortunately, federally, we've been hampered by, quite frankly, the massive investments of the fossil fuel industry in the political system. So we have to have Americans stand up and do what's right for the future of our country and the future of our planet, and push aside those fossil fuel companies that are destroying everything we cherish.
Don't we need the cooperation of other countries for climate change mitigation?
Absolutely we do. But you know, America has to lead the effort in the world, because people look to America and say, if you're there, we believe in your leadership, we'll be there with you. We helped drive the compromises and framework that was done in Paris and in meetings thereafter. But if America is absent, then the world is absent. So we have to get our act together and lead by the power of our example.
Senator Jeff Merkley, thank you for being on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken.
Next.